In this lesson, we'll learn about path animation in Softimage. We can animate objects along a trajectory or path. That path is basically a curve that we create. So this is great to use for vehicular animation. Let's say our ship, if we like it to follow a certain flight pattern, we can create that pattern and then connect the ship to the path, and it will follow. Let's go ahead and get started by first creating that path. I'll go ahead and do that from our top view. So we'll back up our view a bit. We can now go to Create Curve and choose the Draw Cubic by CV's Curve tool. So now you can go ahead and design the path however you like. Maybe have the ship curve out and then curve back in by the end of the animation. I'll now right click to exit the tool. Feel free to tweak your path further. Just going to point level. What's neat is that even after the path constraint has been added, we can still go back and edit this curve and the object will conform to the path. So I might want to stretch this out just a little bit further. Okay, and I'd say we're good to go there. So now, going back to our perspective camera, we're ready to connect our global control to this path. So a quick way to do that is to select our animation control and use Alt up arrow. Just a quick way to grab that global move group. All right, so with it selected, we'll choose Create Path, Set Path. Now we have some options that pop up. We can choose our start and end time. So by the end of this, by frame 100, that's what this parameter means, we are going to have the ship land at the end of the path. Linear is a way to set our interpolation to a constant speed. So let's go ahead and have that turned on. I'll show you how to change that afterwards. And also, tangent we're going to want to turn on so that the ship will conform to the path. We're constraining that ship down in the x-axis with tangent on. So we'll go ahead and turn that on, and now choose OK. The last thing we need to do is choose our path. Okay, so let's go ahead and play the animation. You'll see that yes, the ship is on the path, but it's not faced the right direction. First, we'll go ahead and take a look at our Path tab. What you'll see is this is a constraint, so we can animate the blend weight on this. So if we don't want our object traveling on the path just yet, we can go ahead and turn off the blend weight. And now there's going to be nothing at all. But of course, we can blend into that to have the ship once again on the path. Very nice. And then the path percentage, this controls the ship's movement along the path. So we'll actually change this in the animation editor very soon. But first, let's go ahead and correct the ship's orientation to make sure it's pointed in the right direction. So we'll need to go to the Tangency tab for that. Remember the tangent setting that we saw in our options? Well, we have the same options underneath our path properties. So under tangent, if we have that off, notice the ship will no longer be oriented to the path. It will only be locked down in position. Chances are we want that on. Now to have the ship point in the right direction, as of right now, it's pointed in the positive x-axis. That's what this +1 means. So to have it point forward, we need to use the positive z-axis. And that's based off of the direction of your model. If your model was, let's say, built in the opposite direction, well then you'd probably want to use -z. So it all depends. All right, well now when we hit play, that's much better. Okay, let's go ahead and learn how to tweak this from the animation editor. I'll go ahead and close out this property page, and we can now select our animation control again. We can press Alt and the up arrow to grab our global move group that's connected to the path, and press the 0 key. All right, so at this point, we'll go ahead and select our path percentage underneath the constraint dropdown, I'll press the F key. Remember, if you're viewing all of your F curves, if you had multiple F curves, you'd want to go to View and make sure that's set to all params, or excuse me, selected parameters. All right, great. So as of right now, when we select our keys, we could see exactly what's happening in the animation. So when we select the key on frame 1, we could see that that is the start position of the curve. That's where the ship starts at. So when we select the key on frame 100, that's the end position of the animation. Let's go ahead and take this key and set it to frame 150 so the animation's a little bit slower. I think it's too fast right now. We'll also need to adjust our playback range. So we'll go to our end time and set this to 150, and now we can double click on the range bar. All right, great. So if we were to play the animation back, we should notice something a little bit slower. Okay, great. Now, also taking a look at this F curve, you can see that it is set to linear or constant speed. If linear was not chosen, then Softimage would use whatever settings we have in our animation preferences. So chances are our keys would probably be set to smooth, meaning that our first key, its tangent would kind of slow out, and then our end key, we'd probably slow into that. Now, being that we're animating the flight of this ship, we want more of a constant speed than a slow in and slow out. So right now what we're getting is just fine. And just FYI, being that we did mention the animation preferences, you can set your animation preferences under the File menu, choosing Preferences, Animation. Now, this is a lot to cover. If you'd like to learn more about it, do look into our Intro to Animation course. All right, great. Well, this would be a good point to stop the lesson. In the next lesson, what we're going to do is learn how to have our ship bank along the path.